I'm Melissa Shanahan, and this is the Velocity Work Podcast, live episode number 133. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So restructuring compensation, is principle wise, like we don't have to get into the numbers. Principle wise, is there something now that different things work for different firms? Certainly. But is there something now that you operate on a certain principle when it comes to compensation that you weren't before, and now this is how you do it, and this is why?
So ideally, I'd like to be a little bit above market for the talent that they're bringing to the office, because I think, if you're in a situation where they are making a little bit more than they would make in another job, that might appeal to them more, but they don't hate this job, and they're good at what they do. I'd rather them stay because they're not going to get the exact same amount of money. And it's amazing how some people will stay for the difference of $2,000 a year because they live in a world where it's, I can't make any more. And I can go on and on about trying for 15 years to get associates to generate any amount of revenue. I don't think they can. I haven't found any attorney that works for me that is able to generate the amount of income that I can just on my referral network. And I said, talk to your friends, talk to your family, let them know you're a lawyer, get them out there. And it's just not their mindset that they have to generate money. So if they know that they're not going to generate money and they don't believe that they can, if I could pay them just a little bit over market, it actually makes it easier for me to keep people from leaving. Whereas before I might be, $10,000 or $20,000 under market, saying you're just a widget. If you leave, I'll plug another person into your shoes. But then you have the headaches of having to retrain them and do all those things. So my thinking on that is something that I actually got from Seth Price, and my thinking on that has evolved, I guess you would say, over the years.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Are there any? I just mentioned what principles do you abide by now? There's a more general question I have about principles or philosophies. Do you have any general principles that guide you, or philosophies that you just stick to? They're always top of mind for you for some reason, and it's just a way of operate, like a personal motto or mantra, or I don't know. Does anything come to mind when I ask that question?
Not particularly. I mean, at the end of the day, as a criminal defense lawyer, I am, and I hate admitting this, but I'm willing to do the trials and do the work for free to keep somebody from being screwed over by the system.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to say when you're in the business of selling legal services that you'll do the work for nothing. But I truly believe that if I can follow my upbringing, be a man for others, put myself in a situation where I can be the, that blocker, that person who says, you're not standing up alone. I'm going to fight, for you and with you. And in order to get to you, they got to go through me. That's, because I've learned over the years, we should never define people by what they did on their worst day. Absolutely, we should punish them for the things that they have done. And I have represented some really, really nice people that have murdered people. And I have represented some giant assholes who speed all the time. And I don't think you can say one is a better person than another. One has done something worse than another for sure. But, we can't define people by what they did on the worst day of their lives and throw people out. I don't think any person really, truly is disposable. And that's sort of the guiding, North Star in my life, that we can find something of value in every person, even if they have to spend the rest of their life behind bars, they still can contribute to our society in some way.
What a unique perspective you and criminal defense attorneys must have, just because of what you see day to day, and the people you meet. And just like you're saying, they're good people. They're nice people. But they had their worst today. And that's a really interesting, that perspective alone. I mean, that's probably just how you run. That's like you operate from a perspective because you were so influenced by clients and your work with them that would do a lot of good for people to adopt. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I've been around the criminal defense business for a really long time, and I really wish, like, they would make prosecutors spend a day in a jail so that they can see what the living. It's very easy for somebody to give a jail sentence as an offer on a case. Oh, go do 3 years in jail. Go do 10 years in jail. Go spend a day in a jail and see the living environment that a person in jail has to live in. You may not be so casual throwing it out. You may be. You may say, this now that I know what it's like, it warrants it for sure. But, there's a lot of people in the criminal justice system that are displaced from the impact on the defendant. And so they can sit in an office somewhere. They can sit in chambers. They can sit at a bench. They can put on a robe and just pronounce what someone's life should be for the next decade or so, without really knowing the true impact on a person of what jail does. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't go to jail. I'm not one of those people that doesn't believe that people should not be penalized for anything. I think jail is an appropriate place for some people for some of the things that they do. I just think that it's too easy for a person who's never experienced it, who grew up and went to law school and may not have experienced any sort of adversity in their life, to then sit and pronounce, oh, you have to go live in a jail for even a weekend without having to know what it's truly like inside.
Wow. Yeah. How often do you get affected by your work? Like, I'm sure that there's some sort of callus that you have to build, but yeah, how often do you just think, man? Okay.
It's every day. I mean, I live with it every day. There was a client that I had years ago. I won't tell you his last name. His name is David. I was temping as a public defender in a local courthouse for $100 a day. He had a number of accidents, and I got him out of jail. And that night, after getting him out of jail, he went out drinking and driving, and he killed somebody. And so if I had not gotten him out of jail, he would not have killed that person. He's still doing time right now for what he did. And he's not out of jail yet. And it's been a long time. And I look him up every so often to see if he's still locked up. And that's a case that I think about almost every day of my life. I will think about that case because my actions when I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, and if you put me back in my shoes right now, I probably would still argue to get him out of jail. I can't control what he does or what he did. But, these things, they do live with you. And I also have had clients who, I've counseled them about how their cases are going to resolve, and then don't hear from them for a couple of days, send somebody to do a welfare check, and they've committed suicide. I mean, that stuff's happened. And it's unfortunate that it weighs on you, but it's the role that I've chosen to fill of criminal defense lawyer. And it's the life I've chosen. I have to live with those lumps because that's who I am. And I can't just avoid the hard conversations with people and the hard tasks I have to do because other people might be affected by it. I have to do my job as a zealous advocate.
Wow. Yeah. You have your firm. How many businesses do you own right now? Maybe just two. I know of two.
Three.
Three. Okay.
I mean, if you take let's take my investment properties as one. So it's one, the agency, the law firm, and then I have a software that thing that I'm developing. So 4.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I have an idea for another one.
So firm, your firm, and then Firm Flex.
Firm Flex, which is a social media marketing agency. I have Finalize, which is my automated daily coaching software, which sends you daily messages about how to of what things you need to accomplish the next day. And then I have some real estate investments Basically the some offices that I bought and I'll rent to my firm or other firms. And then I've got some residential real estate, the houses that I've owned that I've moved on from, but I've kept and put tenants in, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then I have another idea for another business that I'm talking about now, but that's total. It's two. One is an idea for food. Oh, they're both food related. One is a mail order food thing, and the other one is a ghost kitchen.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Okay, I have a question about what was the order? So your firm, what was next? Did you start?
Firm Flex. My firm. Then I started getting into real estate.
Okay.
Then Firm Flex. Then more real estate. Then the software, and the two food businesses are probably on the radar for 2022.
Okay. And then when did you start Firm Flex?
Firm Flex started in September of 2019. We launched strong, and then COVID hit us like everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's now starting to get the ball rolling. Yeah.
Okay. Having that been the second business that you started, even though you have business and real estate, did it happen? How much more quickly do you think it happened because this was not your first rodeo?
For revenue wise, we hit six figures in the first year, and it took me probably like 3.5 years to get to six figures with my law practice. Actually, it probably took me longer than that to net out that. So revenue wise, we were able to get there a lot faster. I think biz ops. Since I have all this business experience from running my firm, we started with a tremendous head start. So, we started building our systems before we even launched. We had a PEO from day one. I knew how to set up credit card processing and all that stuff. So that really accelerated so much faster than anything else.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
It took a couple iterations. I mean, the idea for Firm Flex originally was an online course of like a 90 series online course of how to do everything on social media. And really what we have found is that people don't necessarily want to learn. They want it done for them.
Yeah, totally.
So we have our do-it-yourself program that is continuing to generate income and has a devoted following that continues to grow every year, and that's great. But what we found with Firm Flex is getting away from the DIY stuff and just getting it done for people has given us our best opportunity for growth. Our latest thing of setting up social funnels for people has just exploded since Max LawCon. I mean, it's just, cool. We're getting, one or two signups a day sometimes for people who want social sales funnels because we know how to set them up. We can do it, timely. We give you everything. We've already written, 14-page, 15-page ebooks that'll get, slapped with your logo and your cover on it. So we can turn things around really quickly. And it's all stuff that we had learned in being at Ruane Attorneys.
I don't know if you're going to be comfortable answering this or not, but it's a question that hit my brain is how did you build the technology to deliver like the first product, so to speak, of Firm Flex that came out? Did you build the technology or did you use a technology? And if so, what platform to really help you guys? What did you leverage in order to deliver?
Huh? My brother built it. Yeah, my brother built it.
Cool.
So we leveraged some of the technology of the Facebook platform itself with groups. But my brother actually automated it all using ActiveCampaign, Yeti Text, and a number of different softwares. But he put them all together in a way to develop our DIY stuff, and that was really our first big product was the DIY thing. And then he's built on a new platform for our social super system, which we've rolled out. That is also an amalgamation of a number of different technologies so that you can log in, we give you the options of what you can paste to your different platforms. You can go in. We have a Canva style editor, so within our platform you can go and you don't have to go off to Canva, do your image, come back to us. It's all right there, which
Cool.
is kind of nice, so that it's kept in one spot.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And so you recently, as of this week, you have a newfound freedom, should you choose to accept, which you're going to, to be the visionary. Like, that's where your head is the majority of the time, is visionary work.
It's really difficult for me to embrace that title.
Right.
I understand that I'm the boss. My people, will refer to me as boss. But if I take one of my attorneys to a seminar, I don't introduce them as, oh, this is my associate. I usually tell people, oh, we're coworkers, right? I don't like to have the pretension of a title. So accepting, even though the lawyers underneath me have said, no, we work best when you think of things for us to do that we can execute, because we can execute, but we can't think of it. You need to get out of the weeds and start thinking about how to take our vision forward. You need to be our visionary. And just calling myself a visionary seems so pretentious. And
really?
Oh, I can't stand it.
Wait, tell me why. What is wrong with that word? Like, why pretend? Why
I'm going to start walking around in flowing robes. I am your visionary.
Oh,
yeah.
There's like a mental image you have.
Visionary. I'm no visionary. I'm just a dude with a couple of ideas. I'm no visionary. That's ridiculous. I'm going to come in and grow my hair in long robes, some sandals.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
No, I'm no visionary. I'm just a guy who's got a lot of ideas.
Well, okay, so that's funny. It's just an association that you have. I've never had that association. That is so funny. Like, when I think of a visionary, I just think of the idea guy, like, period, or girl, like that, or woman. You're the one that's supposed to, like, somebody for the company has to be forward thinking and can't just be in the weeds. So that person has to be, that's their job. I
just hate the word visionary. It just
I think you should change it.
So
for you, who cares? Like, make up a different word, like
But see, that's the thing. What word do you call it? Like,
well, I would be funny with it if you're going to change it. Change it to something funny. Like,
maybe that's the thing. That's what I need to do. I mean, the reality is that I'm definitely not the integrator. And I know people. I know it comes from EOS, attraction, all these words and things. What are your box? I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm a lawyer and words have meaning. And creating something, entitling myself. I'm just Jay, man. I'm just Jay. I'm trying to be I can remember being, in grade school and in high school. I didn't want to be an actor because I felt uncomfortable being something I'm not. I am me. I am me. I am no visionary. I am just me trying to find my way through this world.
Like, if I was doing your accountability chart, instead of visionary, which is oftentimes like what's written up there, I don't know, idea man. Like, that's what you're supposed to do. That's your job. Idea man. It's not visionary. It's idea
man. That's I could live with that.
Yeah. And then you would live fully into that entire. You would.
But it's like, is that something that's, that's compensable? I mean, I guess it is, but how many ideas does a law firm really need?
No, it's not about. It's not about that. It's more about, there's probably two pieces. Are you still working to bring in business as well?
I mean, business comes in.
Okay.
My
marketing
director reports to me.
And
I come up with ideas left and right.
But it's not like you aren't going out and getting business. You're using the internet and
I'm using the internet, my existing relationships. I can, if I wanted to tomorrow give a speech to the Connecticut Bar Association about, new DUI laws, I have a relationship with their CLE director. I can be in their calendar by Friday and be speaking to 75 people in, January 2nd by
Yeah.
time to promote it. So I have those relationships, and I still do those types of presentations. I'm actually working on one now that I think can build some brand name for my firm nationwide, which I think could help. And it's all about how a systemized firm is an ethical firm. And I'm going to try to use that to go after bar associations that have attorneys that need ethics credits, because it's really law practice management in the guise of an ethics lecture.
Yeah.
So I've put that together, and I've got some interest from the National Criminal Defense Lawyers already and some other organizations to come in and do a 1 or 2 hour presentation on basically how to ethically build systems in your office so that you don't get jammed up by bar counsel or grievance committee. But it really is all about how to systemize your firm.
That's good. That's genius. Okay. The other thing I wanted to say, just if it's helpful, you could let this roll around your brain. Your ideas could be for the future of the firm or like big moves, but you could come up with all kinds of ideas to improve the quality of life inside of the firm for culture, so that here's the thing. Most firms don't have someone that will give any time to thinking through the barriers that the firm is experiencing. And to me, that's the idea person. So sure, your ops people probably recognize like the barriers or the inconsistencies, things like that. But your brain is probably really good at coming up with ideas that they need to implement in order to create a better firm.
So here's one of my latest ideas, right?
Okay.
This just came to me in the last 2 weeks. We get hired by people who are at a very stressful point in their lives, and most of the time when we get hired, we'll open up their file, and so we send them an automated email saying, hey, or text message, we've opened up your file. We're on top of things now. We will reach out. We'll be in touch. This is the name of your lawyer. They will reach out to you when it's necessary. And then inevitably we've got like a 10-day period where like we've sent out our request to get our discovery, and we're waiting for stuff. So there's no real reason for a lawyer to call their client at that point, because the client's going to have questions and they literally have no answers.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah.
So what we did is we took our CRM and we're programming it so that we had each attorney record a voicemail message. That's basically, hi, I know I'm your attorney. Listen, I'm going to be in touch with you in about 10 days. In the meantime, I don't know anything yet. I don't have the police report. I haven't seen the charging documents. So I know you're stressed out. I know you want to hear from me. And trust me, I'm going to be on it. But I just wanted you to hear my voice, know I exist, and know that I'm on top of things, and I'll reach out as soon as possible. And so what we found is we found a company that can do ringless voicemail distribution. So our CRM is going to automatically, when we open a file, it gets assigned to a lawyer, is going to deliver that voicemail message to the voicemail of the client without it ringing. So all of a sudden they get a voicemail from their lawyer, which says, you don't have to call me back. I don't want you to call me back, but I'm on the case, so that they just take that anxiety off of themselves.
Yeah.
Because now they've heard the lawyer talk to them. And so it's real that there is a lawyer that's looking out for them. And so that was one of my latest ideas.
Yes.
I think it's going to work, and it's going to reduce that, 7 days in, I haven't heard from my lawyer yet phone call.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told you a week ago you weren't going to, but I know for you, you're really stressed, so you need some sort of reassurance. We're going to hopefully end that by sending this ringless voicemail out to our clients.
That is an idea that strikes the win-win-win. Like, I think of things, I try to get people thinking through, like, win for the client, because obviously it's a better experience. They know ahead of time, expectations have been set. So that makes a better experience for the client. A win for the firm, which it saves the firm money because you aren't paying people to deal with the incoming calls asking. And then a win for the team members specifically, that because they don't have to I'm using the word waste, like in lean methodology, they use waste. So that they don't have to waste their time on things that aren't important. They don't move the needle at all. So now the team member can be really dialed in with what they really do. Like your ideas for your firm and for your, it's like if you have an idea to improve the client experience and it's a win for the firm and it's a win for your team, then it's a done deal. But this is I'm pumped for you to be in this spot. I feel like you'll be an idea generating machine because there's always things to improve and there's always ways to refine and grow and think differently.
Yeah. So, that's what it's all about. One of my new legal operations leaders, like, look, I'm Tim Cook. You just be Steve Jobs. You just think of things, but you're not going to write code. You're not gonna, machine out the shape of the iPhone. You just tell us what to do and we'll get it done. And I'm hoping with my new spare time, my goal is to actually take and next year, 2022, I want to visit one new law firm a month somewhere in the country. So I plan on trying to hit, the guys Grogo Colarulo down in in South Jersey. Maybe I'll go see Jim Hacking in St. Louis, Billy Tarasio out in Arizona. And my goal is to go and spend 2 days in their office. And if they let me, have them open up a file for me. And I want to feel their onboarding process to see how they do it, to see if we can make it better in our office.
That's cool.
That's my plan. If I can get them on board to have me come in and just sort of hang out with them. And just sort of see how other people do it, because we get into these tunnels where we're doing it. And it may be that if I just do one thing a little differently, we could either increase revenue, increase satisfaction, or decrease frustration. And if we can get one thing out of 12 different firms, I think that'd be phenomenal. It's like I used to do that when I was a young lawyer, when I was really focused on my skills of trying cases and being a lawyer. I was the nerd who, if I would go to California to visit my best friend in LA, well, he's at work during the day, I would call up lawyers I knew and be like, is anybody on trial on a DUI case? I want to come and watch. And I would go to courthouses on vacation in Florida and Texas, California, all over the country on my vacations. I actually sat in on a DUI trial in Bermuda when I was on vacation with my family once because I wanted to see how other people did it so I can get better.
Yeah.
Same thing by going office to office.
So great. People don't do that enough. Just go shadow, go see what other people. That's so great. I know we're closing in on time, but I do have a couple more questions I want to ask. Okay. One is, before this switch that you're in now, where you're going to be moving more into the idea man role, what is the percentage of the time that you were like, what's the brain split for being a lawyer versus being an owner? Before now.
Before this. So I'd say up until that's a good question. So I think by 2017, I was probably 50-50 of being a owner and a active lawyer. 18 and 19, I had gotten that down to being about 35%. Then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I really sort of threw myself into two roles, the marketing and management and operations side, because I had at the beginning of COVID, courts were closed. So I had lawyers grinding out the billable work that we could do because we had a small vertical of billable work that we were able to sort of keep the lights on with. And I really became focused on the marketing. And so now that we're coming out, it really has been sort of an easier transition because I almost immediately went to 100% owner, and it was to keep the lights on and figure out. And so everyone else sort of stepped up and said, we got the legal work. You just keep us getting cases any way you can so we can survive this. And so now I don't have to jump back into any legal work except something that I love to do. And so I do one hearing a month for 2 hours on the first of the month. I did it this morning. And I do that because that's just something I like to do and I don't want to give up. But other than that 2 hour block, on the first Wednesday of the month, I am 100% out of any legal work.
And so prior to now, you were spending a lot of the 100%, well, marketing for sure when COVID hit. And then as things start to wake back up in the world, did you focus as part of your time as an owner, was most of it on operations and systems and processes? Okay.
Systems, processes, because, a lot of systems changed during COVID. So we had to scrap a bunch. At one point we had 1,500 systems. We got down to 1,200. We're now back up to like 1,300 because we've added a bunch of new ones. So, I was overseeing the operations team, but I was talking to them daily. We did a few things. We actually moved our trustee account to its own QuickBooks account. So it's very clean. A lot of things that I wanted to do to sort of make my operation cleaner and smarter and better.
Getting your house in order.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because now, quite frankly, if we're able to grow, it's interesting. Before COVID, my firm had about 3% of the available, and we're not just a DUI firm, but that's the number I'm going to use. So 3% of all DUI cases in our state would hire us, which is good, since 50% of people don't hire anybody. So the fact that we have 3% is a pretty good number. Well, the active arrests for DUI were cut in half, but our market share increased to 5%. So now we had half as many DUIs, but we had almost double the number that retained us. If those numbers stay to bear in 2022, we're going to like dramatically increase the number of files we have coming in. And it's this week, especially, it's starting to show that. And I hope, knock on wood, that it continues. And so, we're going to have massive scale in the coming years, massive scale that I hope we're able to prepare for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you hire someone or did you move somebody up so that you could be freed up for Idea Man role?
I moved somebody up. I had a lawyer that was working with me that actually had left for a week back in 2018, went to go do insurance defense work, realized this is not the life for me. Although the money was good, he immediately regretted it and came back and said, look, I want to come, but here's my vision. Will you buy into my vision? And I said, absolutely. Let's start working on it. And the plan was, this is the thing that COVID crushed for me in a while. I had been working. Part of my vision early on was that I wanted to take the month of July off to be with my family. I had gone so far as to rent a house in July of 2019 on the beach in Charleston, South Carolina. And then COVID hit in March. And so I was pretty depressed at the time because I was like, I've been working my ass off for 20 years. I was 3 months away from achieving my, and then it got taken away from me. And I was angry and I was depressed. And that put a lot of the vision for the firm on hold because at that point we were just scrambling, trying to keep our doors open. And so, once that happened, the vision that Dan had brought to the firm sort of took a back seat. Now that we're on the back end of this, he is stepping up into the legal operations lead role, which is allowing me to take my Idea Man position. And it was his vision. In fact, we had a State of the Union speech last week where I went over, here's my vision for the firm. And by the way, we actually had our firm, we have a firm photographer and videographer that documents everything in our office for us and does all of our videos. And we actually had a picture of me literally handing a set of keys over to Dan that was part of the PowerPoint saying, he's in charge now. Any problems go to him. If he needs me, he'll come to me. So
congratulations.
So it's an interesting time.
Yeah. That's so great. That's so great. I'm really happy for you. I mean, you've not, what's happening in my head is you've worked your ass off to get where you are. And a lot of people do, right? Yeah. But we're talking to you and it's your story. And I just hear the ability to be able to do that is a milestone in life. And it's really cool.
Yeah. The reality is it's been a lot of work. There were a lot of Friday and Saturday nights where I didn't go out. I mean, I was single for a long, long ass time because I was like, no, I need to go home and look at keyword research And that was my Friday night. And then Saturday I'd work on the marketing. I was committed to growing the business. And then there came a point where I was like, wow, this business has grown, but I'm all alone. So I need to concentrate on being more well-rounded, and I still need to do that. Work-life integration is always a challenge. I don't believe balance exists. Nobody should work 8 hours, sleep 8 hours, and have 8 hours of family a day, because it's impossible to try to keep that schedule. So if you look at your life, make sure your work and your life are integrated so that you can have the life that you want. That's much more important, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Couple final questions. If you had to start a law firm tomorrow from scratch, how long do you think it would take you to lift it off the ground? A range, just because now you have experience.
Well, there's a lot of questions for that. But I would probably say I need to do the marketing to get the business coming in.
Yeah.
Would I be starting from scratch on the marketing as well? Like, brand new website, that type of thing?
Yeah, you would, but you would, and likely you'd have a little more capital than the first time around, right?
Well, I've been thinking about doing that, actually. I've been thinking about just VCing a law firm, like finding somebody who's 4 to 5 years out of law school and saying, I'll put up the money, you hang a shingle, I'll put up the money, I'll do all the marketing and all the operations. You get to just be a lawyer, and we'll split the profit 50-50, and you'll get a base out of that. I've been thinking about doing that for a couple of years now. So that may be in my future.
Oh, that's cool. I asked the question. It is hard to answer, but I asked the question just to see. I mean, I think I can get it to
profitable in a year.
Okay. There you go.
Like generating, mid 6 figures in a 12-month period.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. And how many hours a week do you work?
How many hours are there in a week? I'm always thinking.
Well, I know, but I mean,
that's my job. I'm the idea guy. So I'm supposed to be. I'm always thinking about new ideas. So
Well, wait. My question is though, like more about like when are you at work, or when are you on the couch working specifically? Because we were just talking about work-life integration. I agree, balance is for the birds. That doesn't make any sense. But there is an integration, and there is like people I think are striving often to be really present when they're with their family, and so they can be really present when they're working. And so it's not always an easy question to answer, because sometimes it blends and you're on your laptop when technically you could shut it and be more present with your family. And so do you count that as work time or not? But yeah, when in terms of you full focus with work, of course it's always in the back of your mind. How many hours a week do you think you work?
Full focus on the business, probably 20.
Cool.
I get distracted.
I had no idea what you were going to say. I was afraid you were going to say 70.
No, because I'll what I'll do is I'll be focused on something for 15 minutes, and then I'll go down a wormhole of something that interests me.
Yeah.
For 45 minutes on Wikipedia. Reading about Otto von Bismarck doesn't do anything for anything in my business, but it allows me to focus it. And I think by being this weird dude who goes down rabbit holes allows me to think. So, I'll sit and I'm including in that, like, I read Entrepreneur and Inc. and, and all of those things. So, and Fast Company, that's work to me. Like, I'll sit there on my computer and I will read business magazines, in an afternoon. Maybe my whole afternoon today will be reading the latest issues, and I'll take notes and I'll say, oh, I want to do this or I want to do that. So those are the types of things that I do that are actually on the business. Now, I enjoy them, but shouldn't you enjoy what you do anyway? And
yeah, totally. Well, the other reason I'm glad you said 20 is because I think a lot of people think you get in a grind mentality and you get in a hustle mentality. And what you have to realize as you go up into these different boxes of the business, and for you, Idea Man, is that it's not about cranking hard for a certain number of hours and that's it's more about what value do you bring to the firm, and you're supposed to bring a lot of value, but you don't have to spend a ton of time to bring a lot of value. So it's really great to hear that, though you're always thinking about business and it's always in the back of your mind, but really like full focus work 20 hours a week that's awesome. I mean, that's a lot of time actually of generating ideas and hashing through things and getting new ideas from reading. And it's a lot of time that until you give that time, no one else is going to do it.
You should see the back of my office door. I have this thing called the idea quarantine. So whenever I have an idea, I write it down and I tape it to the back of my door in my office. So only I know it's there when the door is shut. And I make it quarantine for 30 or 45 days.
Yeah.
And I'll go back to it. And if I still love it, then I'll say, okay, we should implement this. But I've come up with crazy ideas and been like, a week later, been like, yeah, I should throw that out because I'm never going to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't reject anything outright, because sometimes something that I might have thought about, if I move it, 30 days out, I can say, well, that wasn't going to work, but I can pivot it and this will be a better idea. And then I'll put that one in quarantine. And it just allows me to sort of, get the idea out of my head, but also know that I don't have to chase every shiny object every day.
Yes. I mean, that is what a gift to your team too, because I've worked for the consulting firm I used to work at. The CEO was an idea guy, big time, but would throw them at you as he had them. And then you go work on it. And then eventually it's like, this isn't going to work. And then he never even really takes time he never really implements it. Right. Like we tried to give it legs. And at some point you realize there's a cost in that, not just in money, because you're paying people to generate stuff that's never going to be used, but it's also the morale sucks in that, because the work is never really put out into the world. So it's nice, I think, to have a discipline around what to do when an idea hits and not just react to the idea, because it might not be a great idea.
Exactly. I mean, here's a perfect example where I came up with the idea quarantine, right? So years ago, I was like, I went to a seminar. Somebody was speaking about boating under the influence cases. And I said, I'm going to build out the best website for it. I spent weeks. I wrote probably 150 pages of content for a new website I was going to put up. And in that intervening time period from when I got the idea, framed out the website, started writing the content, I sent out a Freedom of Information Act request out to the state, and I got it back 45 days later, having done all of the work now. It's today, okay, now let's just build it and let's go. Connecticut has 2 arrests a year for boating under the influence. And I'm like, we wasted all that time.
Wow, yeah.
All that stuff, and it's never going to bear fruit.
Right.
And I'll do other crazy things. Like, I think I'm the number one website right now for bumper car injury. Like I've thrown up websites for amusement park injuries and water park injuries and elevator injuries. I'll throw up stuff like that because I'm like, hey, it could turn into something. And those things, it's like fishing. You catch a case, you refer it out, and then you get some mailbox money down the line, that type of thing. But, I definitely quarantine my ideas, and then I come back to them down the line to be able to make sure I'm putting my attention where I get the best results.
I like quarantine. I've heard parking lot before, but I like quarantine better. Idea quarantine. That's good.
I stole it from Matt Homan, a guy who wrote a blog called the Non-Billable Hour years ago. And now he does idea facilitation for small businesses and law firms in St. Louis. But I would follow him on Twitter, and he's a great thinker in the space.
Yeah, that's so great, man. Thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you've covered so much. Like, there's usually a question I ask at the end, but you've already answered it through your stuff, which is just like, why do you do this? Why are you doing what you're doing? But you've spoken so eloquently to that the entire time. Like, yeah, you were never going to do it a different way. You were a misfit, so to speak.
I'm a misfit. I don't fit in. It's crazy.
And you care deeply about
I think
the work that you do.
I do. You know, I did not fit in law school. I did not feel comfortable in law school. I knew it was a means to an end. I've never really felt comfortable anywhere in any sort of situation. But when I've started going to like John Fisher's mastermind and going to things like Max LawCon and being part of communities like that, I've found a place where I feel more comfortable than I have ever felt before. And I know what it's like to feel overworked, underpaid, underappreciated, not sure if you're making the right decision. And I want to be a cheerleader for those lawyers that are going through this entrepreneurial journey, because when I was doing it, there was nothing.
Yeah.
There was nothing. And so I would go and buy business books at night and read business magazines and be like, I got to treat this like a business because there's no guidance for lawyers. And so I know what it's like to be lonely and looking at your checkbook and saying, I have $1,500 right now, and that's all I have in the world. And I got to pay somebody their salary next week. And I really hope I have enough. And you're scratching your head and you're wondering. So I've been there. And, you know, I'm happy to talk to people about how I can help them get over those hurdles, because I don't want you to feel like you're alone and giving up on your dreams, because, you know, you can achieve them. You just got to keep working at it. And if I can help somebody get there by telling my story, sharing a resource, encouraging them to define their vision, I'm going to try to do that.
That's so great. And just to expand and give a fist bump to your point, that is, I think people in the past more than now, but still, they just give up too soon. They switch too soon. If they just would have stuck with it, it's time and learning and sometimes pivoting if you need to, if that's what the market's telling you. But like, just, I think that the more cheerleading that there can be now, and the way that our world has moved where you can feel more connected to other people, I think people stay in the game a little longer than they would have without that. And so people like you offering that is because people see you and they may know your story, but having felt your story and actually lived your story, you had your own version of it's not a cakewalk, and being able to be a cheerleader for others who are going through their own version of it's not a cakewalk and encouraging them is important. Yeah, I'm not sure that ever. Yeah,
that's the thing. It's never going to be a cakewalk.
Well, then that's okay.
So own it.
Yes, I agree with that. That's like the 50-50, right? Like people think once they start making 100K, then it's going to change, or once they start making $1 million, and then it's going to change. But you're always still adjusting.
It doesn't change at $1 million. It doesn't change at 2 million. It doesn't, it doesn't change at 3 million. I can tell you from experience.
Yes.
If you hit those revenue numbers, guess what? You still have problems. Right. You still have issues. And they may just be different. It could be the same. Who knows? Yeah. But it's still there.
Yeah, that's true. It's not better there than here. Somebody once told me that, and I believe it. Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. It was so fun talking to you. Will you come back on the show someday?
Absolutely. Anytime you need me, just give me a call. Right. I got free time now, so
that's right. The idea, man.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.